Hi, I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We are AutoSave. Welcome to our
Today we're
channel.
watching Vinland Saga Season 2, Episode 22. Last episode, we were introduced to a new character. Drought, the fucking bear killer, loser, dumbass. I don't like him. He has
I don't
nothing.
like him either.
He has nothing. He can't do anything.
No. And he's gonna get really angry in this episode because all of his punches are gonna do nothing. And then he's gonna try to kill Thorfinn, and I'm not a fan of that. It's not gonna work, but like I just don't want to see. I don't want to see him try.
Imagine some dude being like, okay, I'm a bet on myself. I'm going to stand here and let you punch me 100 times, and I'm still going to be conscious.
His ego is so bruised.
We'll see.
We'll
You ready?
see. Yeah.
Sweet. 16. The King of Rebellion.
What's the trick to getting punched? Was that even a punch?
Well, no, there's a kick in there. I think it's just being hit. Bro's gonna pass out before he gets to 100.
Can he even punch this guy 100 times?
You have no fucking idea.
But what if Drop figures it out?
He's an idiot. Whew. Simply enduring.
Is that how you're going to live from now on?
Wow, here we go. The belt in frame.
What's Snake gonna think? That distraction, he won't be able to dodge.
Oh no!
He felt that it was solid.
Come on, Omar.
Omar.
Come on, Omar.
How does that make you feel? Dang. To try to talk? His hair's down now.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna
The
look
last
more
punch
like
broke the band in his hair.
he's gonna look more like he did in the first season.
Whew. Oh, the soundtrack. Listen to that
We
shit.
are still nowhere close to 100 though. Oh no!
Oh shit! Thorfinn! He trusts in his friend's resolve, god damn it.
God, he knows it's what he wants too, and he doesn't intend to die.
Man.
Look at their
Holy
faces. They're not
shit.
cheering and shouting the number anymore.
It's
That's
like, by that
insane.
last standing up and the look in Thorfinn's eyes, they knew it was going to surpass 100.
Also, this is like a respect thing now. Like, they respect him now. At least to watch.
98.
Come on. Holy shit.
Oh my god.
You are a true warrior.
Nothing to stand on. We just met today.
You don't have any enemy. Oh my god. Whew. Oh my god. This is crazy.
Fucking carry him there. I know that, like, he can walk on his own, but come on, Drott. Come on, Einar. We're going to see the man who starts wars.
This is crazy.
I have sprouted 35 hairs on my chest since the start of this episode.
He wants to go look.
Oh my god.
This feels like it's gonna cut out and the episode's gonna be over.
Oh, come on. Whew. Remember that? Remember that shit? God, I love how fucked up Thorfinn's face is.
Einar's like, what is this lore I'm
This is
learning
amazing.
about you? It's been 4 years.
This season feels like it's... Oh my god.
It's been way
this is
longer than
amazing.
that. You're lying.
事の発端はケティル川にある。マルが重視になれぬのを恨み、我が配下聞いている。だがもう十分だろう。は100人以上死んでいる。もうこの一帯は立ち直れないかもしれない。降伏を監督した上でのことだ。ケティルに罪がある。さればこそ積むまで戦は終わらぬ。
そりゃつまり手に入れるまでってことだろ。建前並べたって隠せねえぞ。実際ただの強盗じゃねえか。何が違うってんだ。ああ、自分で作ってみやがれ。見守って育ててみろよ。それを奪うのがどれだけ悪いことか身に染みてわかるだろうぜ。
クヌート、ゲインズバラで言ったよな。
He's gonna remember the things that Canute said to him.
生き苦しむ者たちのまだそう思っているか。親玉か。世はバイキングの親玉中の親玉だ。世こそは帝王。北欧最大の半島を滑る支配者。万の兵を率いる将なり。は人知を超え不可能を見よ。世の力であの波を沈めてみせよう。帝王クヌートの名において沈まれ。見たか、そなたたち。我が力を寄せるさざ波さえ止めることができぬ。あの波を起こしている者が誰か知っているか。神だ。奴の定めた条理に逆らうということ。反逆だ。奴の定めに従っていては反逆。我らを見よトルフィン。我らバイキングを。この混乱と破壊の担い手を、恐怖の略奪者を。楽園に住む資格があると思うか。それこそ人間だ。迷い続ける人間の姿そのものなのだ。救わねば楽と強説は到底かなわぬ。
救う。
そうだ。その力を束ね楽土へ向かわせることが他にはおらぬ。力が必要だ。の力を束ね。
My god, Jesus Christ.
すごい男だ。クヌート。バイキングを。
Is that the first method?
でかいことやろうが、てめえの勝手だ。殺される人間は誰が救うんだ。力になるから生かして、役に立たない人間からは楽土建設が効いて呆れるぜ。エセル列島に村を焼かれ、ここに家族を殺された。奴らにどんな理想があったかなんて知ったこっちゃねえ。これ以上お前らの犠牲になってたまるかよ。
恨むなら恨め。そなたに許されようとは思わぬ。
だと。
よせ、エイナル。クヌート、改めて聞く。から手を引く気はないんだな。ケティルの富は世の事業に必要だ。さすればどうするトルフィン。世を殺すか。世を止めることはできぬぞ。
Okay, that was Vinland Saga Season 2, Episode 22. About, 3 to 5 minutes left in that episode. I started getting, upset because knowing that it's coming to an end. Because last episode, this episode, and I'm imagining the next one feel like it's a movie, and it feels like it's like different acts of the same movie, and rather than waiting 20 seconds for that like transition into the next act, I am having to stop watching it.
Right. It almost doesn't feel like it's being paced episodically. But
No,
that
but
might
it
just
does.
be because it yeah. It
Yeah.
does, but like internally to me as I'm viewing it, it's out of most of the episodes this season feels the less like internally I'm okay with having a pause here.
It's like I'm so dumbfounded because I was wondering if at the start of last episode we were going to get to the part where Thorfinn and Canute were going to be talking. And then halfway through this episode, I really didn't give a fuck if that's what we got, because at the end of last episode, I left that episode not giving a fuck if that's what we got. I'd say it's the entire season of Vinland Saga so far that my expectations or my assumptions of what might happen don't mean shit to me. Like, I don't give a shit. It's so easy for me to abandon them all and just enjoy what is happening. And the pacing is terrific. Every choice they make is astounding. I love all the dialogue. I love the score and the way that they're conveying emotion. Everything's perfect.
If I were to pick a moment in this series in this season that I feel like the momentum that I'm currently feeling started, it would be when Garter was introduced. In like the Arnade storyline really started, and then their deaths and Canute coming here. It's like everything just started to kind of like cohesively race downhill. Like you knew that this was like the final plot points that were going to be coming together and accumulating and snowballing into the end of this season. And it's like once that storyline, so what episode was that? I feel like it was must have been halfway through, but I don't know the exact episode that like Garter was introduced and Arnade's storyline started to be unpacked in terms of like her past. But once that started, it's like the momentum that was happening, it was like everything was just barreling forward, even though it wasn't actually like in terms of like everything being fast paced. Actually, it's more so like felt like you were in this continuous unbreakable movie storyline, even though there were some really calm moments and really emotional moments. It's just ever since that, I would say, episode or scene and that those plot points started being introduced, everything just started like internally for me. It was like there's no getting off this train that I'm on.
I think mine, man, I want to say that it was episode 9 or 10, but after the conversation with Spherical about being the empty vessel was great, but there was something about the first time that Thorfinn fought again after their farm was destroyed, and Thorfinn, after fighting, was like, I did it again, and he made his vow of not fighting, and then later on definitely went on about it being violence should be the last case scenario, right? And wanted to find out, what's first. And obviously that was reiterated and flashbacked a little bit this episode in terms of lines of dialogue. But at that point in season 2, I like had completely given up any like desire of trying to predict what might happen in terms of like the reins of like being here in the discussion and being like, oh, this could happen. No, like at that point I'm like, holy shit, something special is happening in front of me.
It didn't even feel like, for the most part this season, that I could theory craft at all, really, about what an inevitable meeting between Canute and Thorfinn would be like, what type of talk they would actually have, and what after effect that would have. Like, obviously, we've seen basically what the talk is. There might be more of it. So my brain is more focused on the after effect, like how do we walk away from what we just saw in this episode, and what is the result of getting this conversation with the king? And I can't even begin to think of how it's gonna go, because I mean, there were some things that surprised me in this conversation that they had, that because I was having such trouble actually trying to predict what this conversation would inevitably be like, a lot of things came as a surprise to me.
I love one thing they do really well in Vinland Saga, specifically season 2, through like Wolf or Snake or any characters who are well equipped in terms of combat, is that like a casual fan who watches like a sports event live, regardless of sport or esport, a casual fan can very easily like be everybody in the crowd of like rooting on for, oh shit, you just hit him for the 18th time, here's the 19th, and that's great and all, but what my favorite thing that's conveyed so well in Vinland Saga are the observations that are surpassed that one-dimensional viewing layer of like, holy shit, I can tell that Thorfinn has fighting experience. By the way, this dude is getting hit 20 times, and being able to see how his hips move and react. And I love how, like, it's like if instead of just a common viewer, it's somebody who is played that sport or esport and knows the inner workings, so they really understand the decision making behind standing there and getting punched.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's phenomenal.
In terms of the standing there and getting punched, just to talk on that again, the last, I would say, this episode and the episode prior to this, it felt like we're going to bring up notable pieces of dialogue and phrasing of things, parallel scenarios. Last episode we had oath being said multiple times. In this episode we had things like being re-brought up what Einar's past was in terms of how he ended up here. And then we get Olmar having to watch Thorfinn get beat on again, which we know his kind of first interaction with Thorfinn that was big for Olmar's character was Fox beating on Thorfinn.
Yeah. I love how Thorfinn, like, one of the big things that was never really okay, in season 1, I, like, halfway through it, I would have imagined there would come a time in a fight, maybe even with Askeladd, that Thorfinn would have been able to keep his emotions in check within that combat experience to be able to get the upper hand or win. But it's so much more satisfying, the fact that we have a Thorfinn now who is able to convey that feeling to others and help them with it, as well as handle that within himself. Like, he's able to be like, Einar, let's stop the anger before it could even potentially get there. Don't look at the bodies right now. We have an objective here.
Yeah.
This is the best way to go about it, because we need to be able to have the best chance at reaching anybody that's on the opposition is if you come to it with a clear and level head, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can at least try to understand where they're coming from and then try to really get into the weeds of it. But if you're already seeing red before that happens, everything's fucked. And I love the fact that even in conversation with Canute, when Askeladd's brought up, Thorfinn's just a completely different person than 4 years ago. And that's so obvious, but it's just so cool that they're able to convey it in such a honest way that I don't doubt it for a second. The most thing I'm surprised about is that it's only been 4 years. And that has nothing to do with the show or the character design or evolution that, wow, it's no way it's been 4 years. It's all on my understanding and desire that, fuck, I wish I could have changed who I was in 4 years.
Like that dramatically.
And in such a positive light.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, and it's just so amazing to me and profound that obviously it's based off of what Spherical said, right? What Thorfinn was when that rebuilding happened, but holy shit, Thorfinn. I believe everything. It's so important. And you know what? I don't only believe it. It's what Thorfinn says. It's like they don't know him. He could have easily fought against Drought, right? And beat him and proven that he was a soldier as well. But no, he doesn't know any of these people. Like if he is going to get a word in with Canute and everybody else is hearing it, the only real chance that it's going to mean anything, even to Canute or anybody around them, is if he can prove who he is here, son of Thor's, you know?
Right. It's almost like even if Thorfinn wasn't doing this for himself in terms of not fighting here against Drought and taking the punches, another way you could look at it is what would mean the most to the king approving an audience with you and you knowing that king. And one of the last monumental things he said to you that's in your memory is that he wanted to make life on Earth a utopia, a paradise. You would think that why would that person even want to hear anything out of your mouth if you're willing to be violent here? So that's just like another way to look at it. Obviously, we know that like Thorfinn did this for himself. But another way to look at it is it's good for the character that he's trying to have a meeting with as well, for their words to really resonate with each other.
Yeah. There were a couple lines of dialogue when Snake got there and Thorfinn had already been knocked down, when Thorfinn was bringing up, like, did you really put in the effort to resolve this through conversation? And I love the evolution of that, because it's just like, it's so easy within this story and the characters within it to be very surface level and one-dimensional. And it's like, oh no, we tried. But give an example other than, oh, we tried once, they are stepping to us, so we're going to equate that and step to them. There's not like, oh, you step to us, let's think about it in a different way, any other way.
It really does take me back to when Einar and Thorfinn were tied up after trying to help Garter escape with Arnade, and how, you know, they're really talking about, like, was there another way that we could have handled this situation? Like, is there something else we could have done here? What was the first method? You know, and here Thorfinn is, when back then he was questioning himself, like, did I take the time to really think about what else could have been done in this whole scenario? From this point to point B to point C, did I really continuously look for the best option in terms of not including hurting anyone or violence?
A great line Thorfinn had was, once they drew their swords, you merely answered with your own blades without thinking. I'm like, holy shit, what a line. Is he getting back up? God, he's so... the second that he gets back up, everybody knows, like, what the fuck's about to happen, yeah. I feel like. And when he spits out his teeth and points at... Oh my god, when Thorfinn points. This is, like, a return of a character we haven't seen since season 1 almost, you know? And he's utilizing it in like in a grown way. Like, why are you just standing there middle part? Like, I love Thorfinn going on the aggressive when it's within this front, right. You know?
Do you know what's kind of cute is that, you know how we get that imagery of like the baby and the mom hedgehog, and it's kind of supposed to be Einar and Thorfinn for a moment? Einar mimics Thorfinn's actions here when he's talking to Canute. He like points at Canute and like tells him like what he thinks of him, and that's really cute to me now that I think about it.
Like when Thorfinn's like 68 more, get it over with. If I'm fucking Drought, I'm like, holy shit, is that the right number? Did you do the math that quick? And then Thorfinn's like, I'm a busy man. When he pulls his hair back and says, people are waiting for me. One of the best shots of this entire series, in my opinion.
Is him pushing back his hair?
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And you can see, like, just the strays. It's so good, man.
I think this whole... I feel like I can't talk much about the latter half of this episode, because I feel like there's still momentum and things with that conversation and, you know, talking to Canute that haven't been fully realized because I haven't seen them yet. I feel like there is probably at least a little bit more of like at least a resolution of it before I can actually really talk about it. But what I can talk about is my favorite, because now I've seen it, moments of Vinland Saga Season 2 is the sun is starting to set. All of these men have stopped cheering and counting, and they are just watching this resolve in front of them. They're almost like waiting with bated breath. Like some of them have their mouths slightly open. It's like they can't believe what they're watching, and there's respect there, and you can feel it in their silence. And Drought's last punch and saying, "You are a true
Thorfinn, son of Thors, you are a true warrior. I'm sorry for have doubted you."
Like, the fact that last episode, we had all the, like, oh, after that 100th, we'll just kill him, you know? We're just gonna kill him, you know? There was this air that we weren't gonna totally respect the rules at which the bet had been made, even if Thorfinn did succeed. Because in their minds, there was like, there's no way he's gonna succeed, so we're just gonna end up killing him. This is all for fun. But the resolve he shows at this point, that even Drought the bear killer is like, I might be exhausted to shit, but at this point, I'm not doing the 100 punches for me and my ego anymore. I am doing this because this man said he would withstand this.
And Olmar's just like bawling his eyes out, witnessing greatness.
This is what like Olmar wants to be. Like what he's decided. At least I don't know if he's gonna like ever get in the same situation himself.
Like,
but this is like, he wishes he had this level of courage.
I am so glad that things went down the way they did this episode, and I would not have changed the thing. But there is an alternate timeline that Olmar steps up to the plate before Thorfinn stands back up, and he's like, "It's my fucking farm. I'll do it." Gets hit once, is like just out.
Knocked
and
out.
Then Einar tries, out. Snake try out.
Well,
and then Thorfinn has to get back up and do the rest.
Right, because most of it really, I mean, what they recognize is that he can take a beating. Like, they recognize that Thorfinn must have had some sort of experience with how he's able to kind of minimize the damage that is happening to his body here. And no one else really has that same knowledge, even if they came with the same intent that Thorfinn did, like Olmar. Yeah. He doesn't know how to take a punch.
I love Thorfinn, explaining why he doesn't just fight back and saying that they didn't know each other, they just met, and the fact that the king could have played a game with Kettle over this entire thing, but instead he brought men here, and a ton of people died, and that Thorfinn doesn't have any enemies. These aren't his enemies.
And there's a big gravity to the amount of people, too, because Thorfinn brought up something I didn't really, actually think about. Yes, the 100 or so men from this farm that died is a big amount and too many to have died. But the other part of it is the farm can't be worked on. This is a huge plot of land and farms to be worked on. All of that food could be gone to waste because there's no one to farm it, no one to care for it.
Yeah.
And all of these men have, as Einar brought up, the amount of their days and their souls that they've put into this wheat that they're growing. And now there's no one to care for that wheat anymore. Are we just gonna scrap it all of their work?
I like that he's like, you fucking farm. You farm the ground up. Then you'll know what it takes.
Which is cute because it brings you back to him getting to do it, and Thorfinn learning.
It brings me back to what I referenced earlier, when Thorfinn fought back, when he wasn't feeling fighting. He couldn't almost control himself on the fact that of what Einar had said to him. You should be pissed right now. You should be defensive. We put in all that work, Mm-hmm. And Thorfinn understands what that's like now.
Yeah. I think that Patter probably is dead. Unfortunately. Yeah. I mean, Patter was an old man. He didn't seem like he would have lasted very long in a fight to me. He could be scrappy, I don't know, but we haven't seen him in any other shot. And to be honest, I feel like if he had survived, he would have been in that room with Snake when Omar made the decision to have, like, his idea of courage. I feel like Patter was normally involved in some of the bigger family meetings.
I don't know. It seemed like it was more if slaves were involved, he was there. But
Gotcha, but Kettle was in the bed, so I feel like he would have been there because, like, wounds. He was also the one that was really good at treating wounds.
Yeah.
So he would have been there maybe to keep checking on Kettle and how he was doing. So I'm gonna go with probably dead. So probably good that Einar didn't go to look at the bodies.
I love that Thorfinn is still known, like Thorfinn Karlsveni or something, Karlsveni. But obviously the name that was given to him in season 1, and the idea of him being able to fight against Thorkel and being able to stand on his own and, like, an equal ground. But not only that, the lack of the knowledge of that he was a fucking kid, a young kid who was tiny and short. And God, I fucking love the acknowledgement that Thorfinn's getting now, because it's not only, holy shit, you were one of us. Holy shit, you were the son of Thor's. Holy shit, you are like a living legend at the moment. If they're not careful, that this conversation is going down and somebody sends a bird or a letter to wherever the fuck Thorkel is, he is going to single-handedly row across this entire ocean to get to Thorfinn before this conversation ends.
Yes, he's the one that gave Canute the scar on his face, being said. Floki was not here for this conversation. Interesting choice, because we got him hearing at the same time that Canute did about, oh, this guy that claims to know you is over there. That's the commotion that's happening over there. And Floki was like, son of Thor. So,
do you think, like, that could be a potential test going forward? If Loki's like, oh, he's all fucking talk, I know it'll piss him off. I'm the one who put in your order to get your dad killed. And Thorfinn's able to, like, stand his ground and not like, immediate react with violence.
Interesting idea that Floki could be used as a test to Thorfinn's resolve of not resorting to violence.
If they, like, ever had to get to that point.
I mean, it would be the ideal test for the character of Thorfinn from season 1 to season 2. I mean, what was his reason for fighting before? What was filling that rage that he had inside of him? His father's death. Who was he trying to kill for the entirety of season 1? The person that he blamed for the death of his father. That is the true, like, final test, is if he learned who truly did kind of create the reason that his father died. But I obviously don't think it's an actual test. As a viewer, I'm like, no, Thorfinn's not going to fight Floki if he finds out. I believe in the resolve that he has.
I like the lines, do you think we deserve to live in paradise? This is what humans are. Committing sins as we wander lost is precisely what humans do. Unless I save these people abandoned by God, I'll never be able to build a paradise. And he's going to be the person his goal is to save the Vikings, right?
Yeah. And they show some really rough-looking dudes during that part, too, which is a nice touch.
Mm-hmm. What will you do, Thorfinn?
What did you think of
here?
What did you think about the scene where he's like, I'm gonna stop the waves?
I loved it with all of my heart.
I bet my face was kind of like, huh?
It's kind of like, if anything, a testament to what Thorfinn was saying of how an incredible man Canute is. Mm-hmm. Because, like, he has his own, like, mentality about, like, the path forward, the road ahead, right? But in sake of, like you have to be somewhat charismatic to be in the position successfully as Canute is. Mm-hmm. And this is a prime example of it, I think, that gets his point across.
Right. I think he's learned, I think season 1 Canute learned a little bit about how to be a charismatic leader. And especially if you're either kind of...
I'm pretty sure it's season 1, episode 18 was the episode for Canute.
the episode for him.
Is anyone sane in this world? Everyone's the same. No one knows how to love. Meaning of life, reason for fighting. He's sick of it. Lost in exchange for wisdom. Something never get back. We'll never attain it. Yet you still tell us to seek it in terms of talking to God. Mm-hmm. You expelled us from paradise. Is there any way to end the suffering other than death? Only exists to be tested and endured. I'm no longer going to seek solution. I'm going to create my own paradise.
I mean, if you think about it, to be focused, like Thorfinn says, oh, I never thought about saving the Vikings. If you think about it, instead of like going and continuously trying to build barriers around the innocent people or the people that are trying to live a peaceful life, you are like attacking the predator. You're attacking at the source. You're trying to deal with the actual problem at hand and saving the people, or the people that are the ones pillaging, the ones that are killing, the ones that are starting wars and stealing land and doing horrible acts of violence against others. And that is a good way to go about it if you actually want to create a paradise. If you view that the Vikings are the predator, the reason that war is continuing, even though we keep getting this idea that as long as humans are around, there's always going to be this popping up. But I just think I liked that Thorfinn was like, I didn't think about saving the Vikings.
Mm-hmm. Why do we have to hit each other? It's stupid. Canute has not looked this, like, commanding this entire series for me.
He had to put it on because Thorfinn was in front of him. It's like when you dress to impress.
His face was like so much more angular this episode.
I think he's showing his conviction to Thorfinn.
They played with the shadows really, really well on how lit Canute's face is. And
the one half of his face like is dark and the eye is black.
Yeah. Damn.
I mean, it is kind of cute that he had to do all that in front of Thorfinn. He was like, look, it's my childhood friend.
I would love really to rewatch season 1.
I know, I feel like I need to rewatch season 1 too, or want to, but season 2, just special place. Obviously it's not over yet, so I'm still gonna be hopeful that it's always gonna hold a special place, and that the whole thing as a product is gonna hold a special place in my heart.
It's just like, if you tried to watch season 2, I feel like without watching season 1, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you're being given exposition through flashbacks. You are. That would be enough to be able to get through it. But the idea, like, I'm just so appreciative. Like, okay, if I ever watch season 1 again, I don't think I'd ever be able to just watch season 1. I wonder how long the break between season 1 and season 2 was in terms of release. Because, like, it feels like, not a book 1 or a book 2. Obviously, they like identified it themselves as a prologue, but I think that that's beautiful, right? Like the fact that, like, that you've done it, you've proven that it was, because regardless of there being the same amount of time within season 1 versus season 2, season 1 truly does only feel like a prologue. It really does to me. Like it through the significance that's been conveyed in season 2. And the introspection that is Thorfinn, season 1 feels like just examples, you know?
Yeah, and I would say you're right that there are some flashbacks and some context clues kind of like added into things that if you hadn't watched the first season. Obviously, I don't know if I could ever know for sure if you could watch, the second season first and then see the prologue. Because sometimes stuff is put out in that way where you watch something and then you see a prologue.
Mm-mm.
No.
No, that'd be disgusting.
You were just bringing up the idea and now you're going, no.
No, I wasn't bringing the idea of watching season 2 then season 1.
You were bringing up the idea of like someone coming in and only seeing season 2.
Correct. Yeah. And like the fact that you'd be able to technically do it, but it would be awful as an experience, I feel like.
Well, we don't know that for sure because we haven't done it. So I wish I had a different save file in my mind.
I don't.
You know? Well, I would try it if I had an extra save file, and then I would just erase that save file if it sucked, and I would just plug back in the save file where I watched it in the correct order.
I'd replay it the same exact way that I played it this time.
Do you
I wouldn't
have
even try
no
a different route.
curiosity?
I have a lot of curiosity.
Obviously.
Not in this regard. This doesn't deserve curiosity. This supersedes it.
Okay. I mean, if it was how it was intended, then it could be seen as disrespectful to do it another way to the mangaka, the author.
It's just so I don't know. I love this show. It's definitely been important to me, and I wonder how many episodes were in season 1?
How many were in season 1?
Mm-hmm.
Probably 24, but I don't actually know.
That's
a great little question.
24,
there.
yeah.
24. I think there's 24 in this as
season.
Well. Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's going to be a season 3. I think that's my only actual like curiosity that I have in terms of this show going forward, that I'm not willing to like kill in that own regard that I was saying earlier of like I'm just enjoying every second that we get.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder in terms of like how perfect the story is right now, what a season 3 would look like if they have a season 3 to tell. Obviously it all depends on the dismount here.
Yeah.
That is beautiful, but I'm no idea.
I can't remember what show it was that we watched on the channel, but there was definitely a show where I was like, yeah, I don't think there'd be another season. It feels like things are coming to, like, the story or the narrative is kind of wrapping up. I don't remember what show it was, but then we found out that there was, like, a new season, like, right after
Mob
me
Psycho.
saying that. Was it Mob Psycho?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't feel like it was Mob Psycho, but it might have been. There was a show that I was like, oh yeah, it feels like the narrative's getting wrapped up nicely here. Like, I guess there doesn't have to be another season. Obviously, that doesn't mean I wouldn't want one. It just means that, like, I'm like, okay, the package might be getting the bow on top, and maybe we're just never gonna get another one, and that could be totally fine. This is maybe the product they're trying to put out as is. Masterpiece.
Yeah. It was Mob Psycho.
With the themes and all the parallels to season 1 and all of the, like, bringing back in all of the very important ideas and lines in the last couple episodes, really driving things home. I'm like, is that something that would give me reason to think that there wouldn't be a third season?
Okay, I think that's a really
but...
interesting point to talk on. And I wish that you'd watch Dragon Ball Z Abridged so I could make a comparison there. But the blunt, vague point of it being, when something exists that so perfectly references and reintroduces themes to complete them, as a season 2 in this show did for a season 1, it would almost feel like you'd have to start from scratch for a season 3
with like new themes or new issues that were going to be resolved or talked about in that next season.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, okay, so what would we be talking about? What would we be focusing on? What would be the overarching kind of narrative themes that would
in terms of like the
unpacked?
Vinland sagas, from what I understand them, like when I learned about them through archaeology, we're nowhere close to there yet, but I feel like part of it is, I think most of it at this point would be the temperament and opportunity that you would have to make the decision to go and search for it at this point. So I wouldn't feel like there would necessarily need to be 6 seasons of Vinland Saga and us to see everything historically. That's not the story. This is the story.
This is the story. And it's great.
I do kind of hope. It's very anime tropey, but I would love to see Thorkel and Thorfinn reunite at some point.
Wishful thinking, maybe?
Yeah.
Possibly? I don't know. What is he up to?
Well, we saw him not too long ago with Canute. All right, you good?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.